February 21st, 2022 will certainly be a day that will go down in history. Russia has officially recognized the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics. People in the capital cities of those regions are in celebrations right now. But the main question is, how did we get here and what will happen next? The official story is as goes. The escalation between Russia and the West has been going on for the last 2 months more intensely now than ever since the signing of the Minsk ceasefire agreements in 2015. The US State Department and Ukraine, along with a bunch of political experts, have been giving numerous dates of a Russian invasion on Ukraine. Some of the dates were going as is. The first invasion date was to follow the opening of the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics, probably to coincide with the 2008 Beijing Summer Olympics when Russian troops entered Georgia during the opening ceremony. Then we were given a date of February 14th, then the 15th, then 16th, followed of course by the dates of the 21st and the 22nd. While an invasion did not happen as everyone may have imagined it, as throughout February, Russia has sent additional troops to the Russian border, numbering around 120,000 total. Russia held military games and drills in the territory of Belarus for 9 days in February, which numbered 30,000 Russian troops only a few hundred kilometers north of Ukraine. And of course, the side that's actually less heard of in the Western press, the number of Ukrainian troops on the Donbass border, with all military branches stationed by the border numbering in the 150,000 military personnel. Well, it seems that the 22nd was indeed a date that something large has occurred. Russian troops are in fact entering Donetsk and Lugansk right now, officially as a response to the latest escalation in Donbass, as witnessed by a destroyed water purification system in Lugansk, civilians killed by IEDs, multiple vehicular explosions, and scores of buses taking refugees into the mainland of Russia due to the escalation there. So what is the international community doing? What is Ukraine's reaction? At the moment, the only responses are, of course, sanctions. Ukrainian President Zelensky is considering cutting all foreign relation ties with Russia, while Biden has announced what he calls the first wave of sanctions against 2 Russian banks, while Germany has paused its Nord Stream 2 project permission for Russia. Stock prices took a heavy hit today, but that's only a temporary chain reaction to the event. However, even though this is still internationally and globally recognized as the territory of Ukraine, this is a sort of legal loophole that Russia has done, as in their perspective, it is no longer a part of Ukraine. After all, Crimea is still part of the Ukraine technically, but nobody is doing anything notable to try and take it back. Will the same case be for the LPR and DPR? Will Ukraine not send troops past the Donbass border now that Russian troops are there? We will monitor the situation, but in the words of Russian President Vladimir Putin, the Minsk agreements are no longer applied, because it can be safely said that Russia will be personally enforcing security there. But at the same time, it can also be safely said that Russia will not go past Donetsk and Lugansk territories deeper into Ukraine. However, as this channel has always tried to focus on and represent the civilian residents that are caught up in the middle of this war, the one question regarding Russia going deeper into Ukraine is that, will Russia redraw the borders of Lugansk and Donetsk to where the gray zone, the no man's land, the border between the separatist troops and the Ukrainian troops is? Or will Russia try to diplomatically, or perhaps militarily, eject Ukrainian troop presence from the entire region, or oblast as they are known as, of Donetsk and Lugansk? It's difficult to say, but I think the main security issue was the capital cities of Donetsk and Lugansk, the villages that want to be part of Russia and the villages that want to be part of Ukraine will have to move, and I think it will be possible through border checkpoints, as residents move between Ukrainian-controlled territories and separatist-held territories today on a daily basis for years now. How much easier or more difficult it will be for civilians to traverse between them now that Russia will be there is unknown, but I personally doubt it will be any harder than it currently is for the average person that doesn't show any suspicion. In the meantime, predictions. What will Russian troops do in Donetsk and Lugansk now? This will be a very similar situation as summer 2008 when Russia recognized South Ossetia and Abkhazia. two breakaway regions that are still, till this day, recognized as part of Georgia after Russian troops retreated from Georgia and a ceasefire deal was reached. Russia has built military bases on the border zones, and fact of the matter remains is that another Georgian war was prevented, and that is certainly in the best interest of the recognized region's residents. So we can expect to see Russia building military bases to enforce their security on the border region with Donbass and Ukraine, and put military equipment there similar to the defense levels of Russia's Khmeimen air base in Syria, meaning the border region will have Russian counter batteries that will target incoming artillery and mortar shells, as well as anti-air defense to prevent any electronic drone jamming or suicide drones. So why are the people in those cities throwing celebrations right now? Both in the cases of South Ossetia and Donetsk, those cities have always been majority Russian-speaking regions, but without getting into the political, historical, and ethnical reasons, the main two reasons currently today for those people celebrating are as follows. Reason 1 is that just as the case of South Ossetia, an additional war was avoided, and in the case of Donetsk and Lugansk, either war will be completely avoided for those cities, or if war will not be avoided, the people know that they have Russia's protection officially within their territory now, which is a reassured sense of security within the average individual that are ridden with war fatigue. The second reason is that Russia will rebuild everything that was destroyed by years of shelling, garrison the region militarily and defensively, and, just as with Crimea, modernize the old Soviet infrastructure, power output, generators, and most importantly, rebuild the economic powerhouse and GDPs of those cities, mainly by investing into the mining business there, but would more than likely be better working conditions and benefits for the workers. For comparison, Crimea in the last 5 years under Russian control has been modernized and has had more accomplishments done to it than in the last 25 years under Ukrainian rule. This obviously surely makes the Crimean people very happy, as not only their economy from increased state productivity and other means, such as tourism, but an increase in the average standard of living. The DPR and LPR residents and politicians are confident that they will follow in the same path of South Ossetia and Crimea in terms of development and security. But why did this happen now? Word on the political streets is that Putin has been planning to do this for a long time. Well, it's not that simple. Yes, with Georgia and Crimea, Russia was able to instantly react and recognize the referendums of South Ossetia, Abkhazia, and Crimea, but for some reason did not actively recognize the referendums of Donetsk and Lugansk that were conducted in the May of 2014, despite their new political leaders after the anti-Maidan movement and the declaration of the anti-terrorist operation by Ukraine in April of 2014. The regions requested Russian aid and Russian troops, but were declined, and did not receive the same treatment as Crimea, the treatment that the anti-Maidan movement was hoping for. For this, we turn to Putin's speech. Putin spoke for 56 minutes in a public press briefing following the recognition. Prior to this, he met with the Duma, his military leaders such as Shoigu and Zolotov, and it can be seen that it was not an easy decision, as if they weren't quite ready to do so yet and did so either out of necessity due to the escalations or some other unknown reasons. During the speech, Putin recited Russia's historical view and actually blamed the communist revolution by Lenin, as it was that revolution, and this is true, that drew up the modern Ukrainian borders, followed by Stalin and Khrushchev. While this is nothing new, the claim that Putin gives that the Russian people are divided by borders and there are indeed a lot of Eastern Ukrainians that identify as Russians, the example that Putin gave in his speech is that Eastern Ukraine was historically part of the Russian Empire, and then during communism has transformed into the state of Ukraine. One noteworthy quote I think I should include from Putin is he claimed that if Ukraine is trying to achieve decommunization by smashing Lenin monuments and renaming communist-era streets into Ukrainian-named streets, Putin has stated, if people want true decommunization, then just wait for us. While I am translating his quote, it is not meant to be taken in the context of, quote, "we're coming for you." What Putin means by that is that Russian territories, including breakaway republics, witness far greater development while maintaining civil liberties that Ukraine does not offer or allow due to the ethnical split of Russian and Ukrainian. To an extent, it is true. Perhaps not in the decommunization itself, as Russia owns many state-owned companies and Ukraine has a lot of oligarchies, but in the pretense of racism that exists in Ukraine today, as the USSR was a multi-ethnic community with no internal wars until the dissolution of the USSR itself, in which multiple ethnic wars started. One can analyze this quote of Putin as trying to bring back the ethnic unity that was seen during the post-Stalinist era of the USSR. So, to reiterate modern Ukraine's border, Putin mentions the 1922 Lenin quote, gift of Eastern Ukraine that initially created the Ukrainian Soviet Republic, followed by Stalin in 1939 that gave Eastern Poland to Ukraine, which today is still part of Western Ukraine, and of course, the controversial moment when Khrushchev in 1954 gave Crimea to Ukraine. But of course, back then, when the Soviet Union was one country, nobody could have imagined back then to create such a conflict. This is the equivalent of the feud between New York and New Jersey over the Statue of Liberty, where New York owned it, but the power to it was coming from New Jersey. But I digress. Ukraine War Awareness will be releasing a lot more content as we have fully assembled an editor team and provide quick news uploads by another channel member, while I will continue to bring more of the analytical side of the situation with longer and more detailed videos. The next video I am already working on is a global perspectives of the Donbass war, which means Ukraine's perspective and what they think, Russia's perspective, the US and the EU, and of course the Republic's perspectives themselves, and the average person's mentality and mindset of the conflict. Right now is the biggest reason to subscribe to this channel, as we will monitor Russia's, Ukraine's, and NATO's activity and upload news events as quick as possible with our new team. Please like this video if you found it containing useful information. Share with us what you think in the comment section below. Will there be a war, or will there finally be peace for the war-fatigued region? Was this a smart move by Putin, or an imperialist move? Let us know. And if you still can't get enough of Ukraine news, join our Discord server, which is active daily with discussions of the events with individuals with multiple perspectives and different side of the political spectrum, as well as the best platform for instant news posts regarding Ukraine. Links are down in the description, and see you guys in the next one.